Hi and welcome to Last Watch for today's review on the Timex TW2P75100. If you do some searching online for this watch, what you will find is that there is very little information out there, and the information that is out there is incorrect. I decided to cut out the middleman and go straight to the Timex website. I put in the reference of the watch, the TW2P75100, and very quickly up popped the Waterbury Date 40. As you can see, the watch comes in a multitude of different flavours, different dials, different casings, different strap options. And again, the detail on the Timex website is very sparse, and as you're about to find out, is wholly incorrect. I mean, the whole name Waterbury Date 40 is a total misnomer. I've had lots of questions from you guys asking me about the size of this watch because you've seen it advertised everywhere as a 40mm watch, and I can categorically state that that is not true. For example, here we have my Seiko Cocktail Time, which is a 40mm watch. And as you can see, the Timex Waterbury Date 40 seems to be considerably larger than the Cocktail Time. So I got the good old calipers out, and I can tell you now that the diameter of the watch comes in at 41.9mm, so just under 42mm. The thickness of the watch is 11.7mm, so not a thick watch. The lug to lug is just under 50mm, coming in at 49.6mm, and the lug width just under 20mm at 19.8mm. So I guess if the Timex website, who actually make this watch, get it wrong, then it's understandable that everybody else would get the measurements wrong. But categorically, this watch is a 42mm watch. So to be given the name Waterbury Date 40 is a bit of a faux pas by Timex. Getting into the watch, it's very clear to me and probably to all of you guys that this pays an uncanny resemblance to the Rolex Explorer. Quite a heavy homage, although with a few subtle differences. So we have applied indices with Arabics at the 3, the 6 and the 9. There's obviously the inverted triangle at the 12 o'clock position, and batons at all the other positions. We also have the Explorer style Mercedes handset, albeit in this case the hour hand has done away with the Mercedes logo and very subtly put a T in there for Timex. I should point out that there is absolutely no lume applied to these indices, but with regards to nighttime visibility, we will cover that very soon. Also, if you look at the second hand as it ticks around the dial, you can clearly see that it pretty much misses every second mark of the chapter ring. There are a few quality control issues with this watch, but given its low price tag, I think it can be forgiven for the most part. So we have the Timex logo just below the 12 o'clock position underneath that inverted arrow, and we have the Waterbury 1854 logo just above the 6 o'clock position. A little bit of history about Timex. Timex were founded in 1854, although originally they went under the name Waterbury Clock Company. They then changed their name during World War II to US Time Company, before eventually becoming Timex Corporation during the 1970s. Obviously, they've tried very much to try and keep some history with this watch, hence giving it the Waterbury name. However, I should point out that watch manufacture now no longer takes place in America. Most of their watches are made in the Far East, especially the Philippines. Although they do employ workers elsewhere, they are a global company. Sticking with the dial, it is a slate grey colour, not quite black. I should point out that there is definitely a hint of brown in there, so it's not strictly black, not strictly grey. Moving across to the 3 o'clock position, we have a framed date complication, which is inverted. So it's quite nice that we have white Arabics on a dark background. Helps to make the date pop a little bit. With reference to the case of the watch, we have a fixed polished bezel. The top of the watch is brushed and the side of the watch is very nicely polished. As you can see, we have a raised mineral crystal which adds another millimeter or so to the watch. It is flat on the top but curved on the sides, which I suppose will help to slip under a cuff. At the 3 o'clock position we have an unguarded crown, quite an oversized crown, which sits a little bit proud of the watch, and there is a reason for that. If we look above the 6 o'clock position, we can clearly see it says Indiglo and Original. Indiglo is a backlight facility patented by Timex in 1992. It uses an electroluminescent panel, which is powered by use of the crown with a simple push. It's a fantastic facility which pretty much allows you to tell the time in complete darkness, hence the lack of lume needed on the watch. There's absolutely no reason to use lume on this watch. However, I did notice that if you tilt the watch down and you look towards the bottom of the dial, you can clearly see that the backlight doesn't cover the entirety of the watch face, possibly leaving about 5% of the dial uncovered, although it makes absolutely no difference given that you can't see that when looking directly at the watch face. Although it would be interesting to know how much more this watch would cost if it had added lume to its indices. We have an engraved pop-on caseback, which clearly shows the Timex Waterbury logo. It gives reference to its water resistance of 5 atmospheres or 50 meters. Also the use of its Indiglo system, and the fact that it is a stainless steel watch. It gives the reference details of the watch and also the battery type. And if you look very, very closely, you may just be able to see that there is a little hollowed out area for you to get a tool under there in order to pop the case back off, and then obviously you'd need to push it back on. So the watch is a quartz watch, it is not a mechanical watch, hence the affordability of this watch. My best guess is that it uses the M902 quartz module, which has a date facility, as opposed to the M903, which has a day and date facility. It is hacking. You can clearly see that the second hand stops. Unfortunately, it's an unsigned crown. Bizarrely, what I did find, if I sweep it forward, bear with me here, you will notice that it changes it changes date between 7 and 8. So I don't know if that's a problem with the build quality of the watch, or whether it's a case that the handset have been inappropriately put on. If there is a quick fix for that, I would appreciate if you guys have got any experience with Timex, if you could let me know. It would be nice to correct that. As it is, I'm not a massive fan of day-date complications. I can live without it. I don't really make use of it. I think that this watch would look much better without the date complication window. Battery wise, it uses the CR2016. We're probably looking at something between 2 and 3 years longevity of the life of that battery, depending on how much you use the Indiglo facility. I bought the watch on this very nice oyster style bracelet. The weight of the watch on the bracelet comes in at just over 130 grams. And size to my wrist with the removal of a few links, it comes in at just under 118 grams. Should point out that the bracelet is 20 millimeters thick all the way around, including the double push button release. It has a pressed clasp. It is again all stainless steel. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that. The watch is also all stainless steel. There is no reference anywhere that I can find with regards to the quality of that steel. I doubt very much it will be 316L, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. We have a bit of cost cutting with hollow end links on the bracelet. The bracelet is brushed on the central links and polished on the outer links, and also polished on the sides. You can also see here that it is folded steel, hence it's a little bit jangly. But on the wrist, it's still very comfortable. It doesn't feel cheap. In order to resize the watch, we have push pins. You can clearly see the arrows giving the direction of the pins for removal. Sadly, there is no micro adjustment on the bracelet, and there are no half links. So I think with this watch, it will either fit or it will not. I seem to be lucky so far. It is quite a nice fit on my wrist, although the warm weather at the moment has expanded my wrist. I think in the winter I might very well need to take another link out of this watch in order to wear it. Overall, it is an attractive watch. It is a very heavy homage to the Rolex Explorer. At a fraction of the price, I think what I paid for this watch would be the equivalent of 1% of a Rolex Explorer. So if you're toying with the idea of saving for your grail, if that happens to be a Rolex Explorer, but would like to know how it would feel on the wrist, then by all means, buy one of these for a fraction of the cost to try it out. I think my only real disappointment with this watch was the size of it. Coming in at 42mm, it would be nice if it was actually the advertised size of 40mm. So yes, they got the size wrong. There's a few errors with the watch, but for a little over £50, it's a very attractive, nice watch to wear. Definitely worth taking the plunge. I would seriously give this some consideration, especially if you're looking for that Explorer on a budget. Feel free to give me your thoughts on this watch and any suggestions you'd like to make. If you've got any quick fixes for it, please let me know. So thank you for watching, keep subscribing, keep liking the videos, and hopefully I'll catch you guys on the next one.